Hello, you sexy people. That's how we're going to start this. This is going to feel very weird for the full video. I'm going to talk really weird and feel very odd. Joining us today is my good friend and my best friend, Antonio De Mendoza. Tell the people who the hell you are. A little bit. And then we'll get into it.
I am... Wow, it's already starting strong. I like this. I am a personal trainer. Decided to get into fitness because my life needed it. But I have a very deep background into other less well-known sports. Some martial arts, come from a business and sales background. And yeah, just into fitness because I love it, because I know how much it changed who I am and how my life has been affected, and hoping to better, as I'm sure yours is the same, better people's lives and outlook on what fitness should be like.
Give us a little bit of what is the history. So that's you, that's your life. Specifically the physical stuff that you've done. So I know you've done parkour, martial arts, stunt double training, gym, even CrossFit now. Give us a summary of that as well, because maybe there's some things I'm forgetting. All the dancing related stuff too.
Of course. So I started off when I was younger with martial arts. Thanks to my father. My father is a martial artist, always has been. And so starting off with that was a very good introduction into the fitness side of things. More than anything, I guess even the dedication and the discipline into how to stick to something long term. Then I got into free running and parkour, which then helped me become a stunt double and an actor in a couple of movies, which has always been fun. And yeah, I mean, apart from that, in terms of physical things, it's always been revolved around either martial arts or parkour until I started weight training and bodybuilding style training, strength training, now CrossFit style training, which I know you're a massive fan of.
Disgusting.
But yeah, that's pretty much my background on the whole fitness side of things.
Mm. I always describe things, so I got into dance recently, the past couple of years, and I've said this to people who know me. I talk about it more than I talk about my own job. Might change my career again, who knows. I always say that discovering dance kind of added color to my life. It brought back color in a place where I didn't know was colorless. When I think about how the pandemic was, I'm so glad I discovered it afterwards, because when people tell me we were in lockdown for 2 years, it was hell, I can imagine, but I'm glad I didn't personally go through it. The peak of my problems was I can't train. But if it would be I couldn't dance, it would have been horrible. So with that theme, all of the different activities you did, parkour, martial arts, whatever, dance, training, weights, if you go with that perspective, what different type of color did each of those bring into your life?
Good question. Well, look,
Thank you.
the martial arts was very black and white, and the reason why I say that is it's very structured. There is certain rule set. For anybody who's done martial arts in the past, you know the fact that it is incredibly disciplined, and it has to be a defense only. You're not using it for anything outside of that, and so that's kind of where that took it. The martial arts was very black and white. This is what you do. This is what you're learning it for, and that's pretty much it. The freedom, and I guess where I ended up getting most of my, like you said, color into my life, was on parkour and dancing. So the dancing I would classify as like a very deep freedom to be able to express the way that I felt with somebody else very intimately, in which growing up with this is very, very difficult, right? To share such an intimate part of yourself. For those of you who aren't aware, my dancing is based off of salsa, bachata, merengue a little bit, even though I'm not really a fan of merengue. But that gave me the ability to socially interact with a lot of people and to get close to people and communicate physically, right? So that's always been fantastic. The parkour was a community. So whereas martial arts and parkour was very intense, but very one-sided, as in this is the skills that I can bring to the table, and that's what I felt like with dance. Parkour was very community-based. So we share, we collab. We don't really tend to go training by ourselves. We used to go training with 30, 40 of us. And for anybody who's ever been around IMAX, especially like 6, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, on the weekends, you'd see a big group of us going and jumping over walls, and it looked super silly. But for us, the freedom and being able to express ourselves through that movement was, indescribable. It was a plan of the weekend to go training. I remember my younger brother getting into it, coming and joining us for that. The amount of things that you end up being able to experience as a big group, as well as the mischief that we used to get into, was always very interesting, and it added in a lot of color and a lot of light to what used to be a very monotonous lifestyle. And then the weight training became very interesting in terms of another kind of social dynamic. You're meeting a group of people and you're training around a group of people who are very similar to you in the case of wanting to improve physically. And the difference between weight training and bodybuilding based around maybe dance and parkour and martial arts and everything was that with strength training, there are so many massive applications that it could take outside of the gym. And it tends to be a lot of people from all ranges, right? I mean, for parkour, especially to be in the group that we were in, you had to have like a certain level, and it took a certain level of confidence to be there and kind of throw yourself around. With dancing, the confidence thing is even worse, because you have to have so much like self-confidence in yourself to be able to go and approach, especially as a guy, to go and approach one of the girls and be like, hey, come dancing with me, this will be great. Let me take you out and let me show you a good time, the 2, 3, 4 minutes that the song takes. With strength training, it was the slow burn. It's the daily progress that leads on to 2, 3, 5, 6, 10 years of where you see the difference bit by bit. And everyone's really getting into that. Everybody's really getting involved in it, and you share tidbits and you learn from that, being a very individual sport with also a very deep community base.
For the people who don't know, because I forgot as well, what is IMAX? You said people who've been to
IMAX.
IMAX.
So near Waterloo Station was, you have the IMAX theater, the cinemas. And there is a spot appropriately named IMAX, where we would meet up every Saturday, every Sunday. We'd meet up at like 10, 11 a.m. You'd see all of these young guys wearing very big, baggy tracksuits, big overflowing t-shirts, very different to the gym, right? Just because flying through the air would create a very good movement with the trackies. And so seeing it from an outside point of view, it looked very intimidating, but it'd be very interesting to see people walking around, especially tourists that were very big to the Waterloo area, right? They'd see like 30 or 40 of us jumping on walls and doing flips. And so that would, anybody who's ever done parkour or freerunning, I guarantee it, you'll know about IMAX. Even if you're from other countries, you've had very, very big Red Bull competitors come and train there. And it's just a very iconic place.
Something that just came to mind. So if you close your eyes right now and you picture the IMAX, what is the one memory that instantly comes to mind of your parkour days? Because that probably feels like a complete lifetime ago. Parkour is one of the things you've done I've never done.
10 years ago.
What's the one, just the memory?
The memory. There was this guy called Tim Sheaf, nicknamed Livewire, right? Was massive in the scene 10 years ago. And I remember us showing up one day, deciding to train. We used to organize everything through Facebook, through Messenger to all show up and meet up at this one place to start training. And Tim was training, and he was doing this what we call a precision jump. Absolutely insane.
Is that like if you're doing a big jump and you want to land on one really specific point?
Yeah, and you want to land and you want to stick it, right? And it was, not only was it a very big jump that none of us had even ever considered, but it was a drop. So it was a jump from a height. Man, seeing him do the jump, like completely focused, everybody around, like taking videos, taking pictures, him in his zone, like that for me has always been iconic. Because then sitting down and thinking back to, what that meant for us starting off in the scene, like what it meant for us to kind of get into that and look at him and see the way that he performed and jump into that and try to take his approach on things. I remember it having also a deep effect on that. So making us want to be very deep and focused. Even the music that we were listening to was affected by that. Ask any free runner at the time. Like dubstep was a massive thing for us, as we used to put on our show reels, and so watching him train and him having his deep focus on that, and especially the music that he was listening to, like that would get us down to try that and to try to focus. It's just, for me, that was one of the cool moments. That and doing I can't remember what it was called, but during Halloween we'd all go dressed up. So I've got pictures of me in a skeleton onesie doing free running. That's fun. This event used to happen every year. So things like that, again, it's not even about the sport, it's about what the people around the sport kind of left with us down the line.
Why did you leave that world? Because I don't think I've actually asked you this before. What happened, or what transition did you do? That you've gone through a lot of phases of martial arts, parkour, weight training. There's been, for me anyway, I know when I used to do jiu-jitsu, for example, lockdown is what got me completely out of it. What got me into dance was you. Why did you stop parkour?
I think, and the reason is actually super, super simple. I went to uni. And so when I went to uni, and uni created kind of its own lifestyle with its own group of people, where I didn't have enough time to go into central London to go train with these guys every weekend. You know, I had occasions now with friends who I'd met there, with activities that I was interested in doing at uni, kind of changing my lifestyle, that just meant that I couldn't be there as often. And that's what kind of removed me completely from the scene. When I was in secondary school or in college, sixth form, we used to go almost every weekend. And I still have sometimes Facebook messages or Facebook comments from the guys who I used to train with, reminiscing about that time, and it was great. But when I went to uni, the time just wasn't there. And I was finding myself in other interests. Like, then dancing really took off for me. Yeah. Oh, man. Good times, though. Good times.
I know there are a lot of interesting stories about your dance time at university.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Anyway.
Next question.
This actually links in very nicely to another one I have. How do you feel that the discipline and creativity of dance and martial art overlap? Because they're very different in that martial art and strength training and whatever, you need that discipline. But how do you find the creativity of your dancer mind translates into it? Where's the overlap between the two? For example, the creativity and the freedom in the martial arts and the discipline in the dance.
I think the main key thing is of course practice, right? But it is practice based on movements. And the thing that martial arts and dance has that I'd say strength training doesn't have is the ability to improvise. When you're fighting, when you're dancing, especially when you're dancing or sparring against somebody else, their movements and their reactions to what you're doing really leads on to what you're going to be able to bring to the table next. With strength training as such an individual thing, yes, you get ideas from other people, but it takes a while to kind of fix yourself into that, and when you find something that works, you stick to it. Whether it's sticking to, you realize the fact that maybe 5x5 bench press works for you in terms of building up strength the best, or maybe building up a couple of reps in, improvising around strength training becomes very, very complicated. Because if you're seeing results, and obviously as you know this, you stick to a certain plan for a certain amount of time because that's what's going to get you the results. It's long-term benefits. With martial arts and dance, the discipline comes in being able to know what you're doing, but being able to apply 100 different moves to what could come next. And I think in that, dancing and martial arts creates a different pattern for you to kind of live in.
As a fellow nerd and geek, dork nerd and geek, I always look at these things as like, okay, if I'm learning something new physically, you either got like your base character stats, so like your speed, your strength, whatever, then you have the skills. Do you think you can afford the creativity and the freedom in the dance because it's a skill as opposed to strength, which is very like, there's only really one way to get stronger. You can't really go an unconventional route because even if you're doing unconventional exercises like old strongman lifts or whatever, it's all the same stuff in terms of stimulate your body in a way it's never done before, keep doing it until it becomes stronger.
And the progressive overload that has to lead on to being able to get stronger.
But with dance, unless you're doing some kind of trick where you need the strength for that one skill, it's just a skill. That's like playing piano, for example, because you play and we used to play a bit. You can afford the creativity in the piano playing, But if you're specifically learning to get more dexterous, then you need to apply a more methodical approach to it.
Oh yeah.
Basically, strength is boring, but it lasts a while, and it's your base character stat. But dance, you can just kind of mess around because it's a skill.
Oh, 100%. And that is the reason why I stopped competing in dance. Because I felt dance as such a free, rewarding thing to go out and do socially, and to be able to improvise and experience. I mean, look, we have this at Bar Salsa whenever we go, right? We dance with 10, 15, 20 different people during the night, maybe even more. And we're learning, even though it's social, we are learning from everybody how to move, how this move could translate into something new. The reason why I stopped competing in dance was because of the structure. And for anybody who's ever competed in ballroom and Latin, I did ballroom and Latin for a bit, they'll be able to explain to you that it's not just the dancing. Everything comes into play. I remember when I competed and I got told that I wouldn't progress far enough into it because I looked too manly.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was something completely new to me. How are you taking my ability to dance and execute certain moves, which I'd like to think that I do quite well, but judging it based on the fact that I might have facial hair? Mm-hmm. And so if you look at any of the ballroom dancers, especially professional ones, they tend to be quite slender and quite tall and very elegant and smooth. And you don't tend to have anybody with a beard dancing and competing on it. And I remember them taking points away for that, or if your hair isn't gelled back a certain way, or the clothes that you're wearing isn't exactly perfect. Imagine going to a lifting competition and then turn around and saying, oh, I don't like the color of your leotard, I'm going to give you minus points. Or I'm going to take points away from you even though you completed the lift perfectly. And competing in dance had that effect. I started losing love for it because it became such okay, we need to do this again and again, and this has to be perfect and perfect and perfect. Which for me, the thing that I love about dancing is the fact that it is imperfect. It's the fact that you can look at somebody and go, oh, that's cool, I like the move. Oh, that's awesome, the fact that you did that. And it was a spur of the moment thing. There was no planning. It kind of just happens. And yeah, the culture around the whole competitive dancing thing, when it came to ballroom and Latin, was that. When I was competing in hip hop and breakdancing, that is a very different story, because that was a team effort. And being able to compete with your friends to make the crowd enjoy something very big was that's what it was all about, right? And for me, the competition thing for hip hop started as a competition, and I would take bits and pieces and add it to my own kind of skill or dance repertoire. Whereas with salsa and bachata, it started off as a cultural thing. In Colombia, this is exactly what we do. Every house party, every Christmas, everything that we celebrate is music and dancing. And taking it from such a social, cultural dancing point of view and translating it and putting it into a competition where it's judged so strictly and so harshly kind of made me definitely kind of fall out of love, at least for a couple of years, with that style of dance.
It sucks, and I've never done ballroom or Latin, but it's not a surprise that it seeps over into the Latin dance scene, so salsa and bachata. That's one of the reasons why I really don't want to compete in it anymore. So I've only been dancing for next month will be 2 years. I know that I love teaching.
Can I put a pause right there? The fact that
Huh?
The fact that it's only been 2 years and you are as good as you are, honestly,
I'm okay.
blows me out of the water.
I'm okay.
No.
It is really...
Don't let him being freaking humble, yo. Look, just legit side note. Alex is fantastic at dancing. He surpassed me, definitely. If you ever get a chance, you ever see him out dancing in Bar Salsa, I recommend grab a dance with him if you can. Ask him for tips because he's killing the game right now. But anyways, yeah.
I'm okay. It is as much as I don't want to get a big head, because I really don't think I should have one. It's always a nice moment. Shut up. It's always a nice moment when I see I've seen all the big names in the dance community before I even met them properly. I was going to like ABCD 2 years ago. It's like the UK or London, one of the two. It's the biggest dance festival. They usually have in February. It's in London. It's like 3-4 days. That was my first ever thing I went to after maybe 6 months of dancing. There are so many videos I have of it and so many lessons I went to of people that I now know personally that I didn't even realize I went to their lessons. And it's a very small community, and I had a moment yesterday. There's this lovely girl I was dancing with. She's one of the teachers. She's big on the scene. We were talking, we were dancing, and I told her I've almost been dancing 2 years, and she was very praising. She said good things about it. And it makes me feel good, because with any kind of training you do, like if you're in the gym, if you want to be great, you don't look at the person next to you, you look at who you could be. At least you should anyway. So with dance, I recognize I've packed a lot of stuff into that almost 2 years. So realistically, I have maybe 3-4 years worth of experience.
Look,
But
to put stuff in context, right? Because I don't think you guys understand how much practice Alex puts into it, right? Alex will show up to the gym 9-10 in the morning, book out the studio, and he will have dance sessions there. He will then practice on his own for an hour and a bit. Alex doesn't tend to sleep much because he's out dancing almost every night. The amount of practice that you've put into your dance, especially over the past 9-10 months, has been like commendable. And when you're trying to say the fact that you want to stay humble in it completely, you want to be modest with it, I get it, but you also need to understand the fact that where praise is given, where praise is due.
yeah, there's only so much I can deny everything until I'm like, well, either everyone else is wrong or I'm wrong, and I'm not that much of an ego head anymore to say no.
Anymore.
Yeah. No, I was an arrogant bitch, but now it's okay. But the point with the dance is, that's the one reason why I don't really want to compete, other than maybe competing for the sake of the experience. I used to do jiu-jitsu. You know, you don't know, I'm telling you now. I used to do jiu-jitsu for a good few years. I competed, but when it comes to combat sport or weightlifting, like if you go to a powerlifting contest, you go to weightlifting, whatever, it's very clear who wins. You lift the heaviest for your weight, you submit your opponent. It's a direct competition against someone. There's not really much room for interpretation. You either threw them or you didn't. You either choked them out or you didn't. With dance, especially with a lot of the competitions I see, because what we were saying before, dance is so creative, that means it is very subjective. You can't have an objectively better dancer if two people are very close, because maybe someone plays with the music a bit more, maybe you just don't even like how someone looks, but they're technically better. With weightlifting, it doesn't matter how someone looks. It doesn't matter what color thingy they're wearing. You judge them on one thing, but dance, there's so many things. You judge them on the variety of their technique, you judge them on the lifts, the tricks, you judge musicality, everything.
Musicality, yeah.
But the way the dance is judged, that's how I would judge it, but that's not how it's judged. It's very like, okay, trick after trick after trick, this is clearly choreoed. You can't really be creative with it, and it's just not fun. And I know competition is to compete and win, but you need to, if you're going to join a competition, you need to agree what it stands for. If you're against violence, you're probably not going to compete in jiu-jitsu. If you are opposed to being strong for some reason, you're not going to compete in powerlifting. If you're opposed to a strict, rigorous structure of something that should be fun, like salsa and bachata, which is what I am, then that's why I don't want to do it, because I'm going to have to dance in a way I won't want to just for the sake of the win. Mm-hmm. But the beauty of that is, I know I teach. I'm a teacher at heart. I've taught kids kickboxing before. I've taught adults martial arts. My job as a personal trainer is to teach people things. So I'm not learning how to teach. I'm just learning what part of dance to teach. Because to be a good teacher, you need to know what you're teaching and you need to know how to teach it well. I'm just learning the actual technique. So only recently I took on my first one-to-one dance client, and I'm breaking down things in a way as a follower that I've never done, but it makes sense once I think about it. So teaching is great. Performing maybe, because you get a bit more freedom. You're allowed to keep the beard. You need to slick back the hair, but it's like whatever. But competition, because it all stems from Latin and ballroom, that's where the salsa and bachata scene kind of falters, yeah. So it really depends on what you want. If you want to be recognized as the best, you need to compete. But if you want to be your best, which is currently what I want to do, competition is not necessary. And the thing with dance is, you don't need to compete to show you're good.
No, and social media now gives you such a wide platform. I mean, I've seen some, look, might offend a couple of people, but I have seen competitive dancers who are good. And I have seen dancers who are teachers who have never competed, who just post their content on Instagram that are amazing, so much better. But I think it's because of that. It's, you've chosen the path that you want to kind of fall into. And when you get to teach your own stuff, the creativity that comes with it, you get to play around with it and you get to have fun and you get to change it up as many times as you want, right? With competitive, I mean, it's a completely different game. And one of the things that I remember hating the most about competing was the rehearsals. No, this isn't right, do it again. No, this isn't right, do it again. Yes, in other sports, I relish it. But when it comes to dancing, the simple act of smiling and expressing my joy and moving my body in a way that feels right with the passion that is involved with it, and being like, actually, no, this is wrong, we need to keep this a lot more structured, is completely the opposite of why I got into dance in the first place. I think you kill it in a competition, but I think you're right. I think it's...
I would hate it.
Yeah, I don't think that you'd enjoy it. And you come from such, like, your dancing the past 2 years since you started has been such a social, creative platform for you to express who you are, that competing would kind of limit that, and it would constrict that into a border that you're not in anymore.
You need to fundamentally change how you approach it as well, because at my core, I don't mind having attention when it's for something I'm not trying to receive attention for. Like if I'm doing a cool lift in the gym, I'm not doing it to show off, but if people recognize and think that's cool, that feels good. But when I dance with someone, my goal is for them to enjoy it, for me to enjoy it, and to feel a connection. So it can be small, it can be subtle, it's not showy. I hate dancing showy. The whole point of competing is it's a show. Even really performance, you're dancing for others. And that's such a shift. Even in the way you do like a turn, it's very like over dramatized. And I look at people when they do shows. Some people pull it off. It's in their personality. I'm very much like a chill in the background, behind the scenes type. If I become the spotlight on a night out because I'm just enjoying myself, great. But I don't want to actively be, okay.
You don't want to search it. Yeah,
I don't want to
search for the
search
spotlight.
No.
If it finds you, great, but if you search for it, that's where the uncomfortability comes in. Yeah, that I get.
When it comes to the world of dance and the world of training and everything that you see with your clients and whatever own experiences you've had yourself, how has it affected your mental health? Because we have to go there.
Do we really?
We do.
Look, I know there's a stereotype when it comes to the gym and weightlifting. Look, if you own any social media, you'll know and you'll have seen, when she breaks up with me, that's when I start going to the gym. When your bro messages you and says, bro, we just broke up. You're like, oh, look, I'll call you, but I'm at the gym. It's like, let me come with you. Start of the demon arc. Even though it is a meme, I would like to start by saying that the gym is that for a lot of people. It is a way to work with, I'm going to say, free therapy, because you are paying for the gym, but you aren't paying for therapy, although you are getting therapy out of it. A lot of people who go to the gym, it is a mental thing. It is to create a mental balance. It also comes from, and a lot of people, myself included back in the day, whereby the gym is a way to deal with as a coping mechanism for depression. And I know the fact that definitely happened with me, whereby I'm going through a breakup or I'm dealing with something serious, and the gym is a way for me to refocus myself. It's what the piano used to be for me when I was in secondary school. It's what going out and dancing was for me at university. The gym is, and from now on ever will be, the place where I can go and deal with my thoughts the way that I want. To not have to sit there in the moment and have to emotionally deal with it, but to physically push them out of the way and center myself. And so I think in that side of things, the mental health thing is great. On the other hand, going to the gym also creates a lot of issues for mental health. Body dysmorphia. Oh, Jesus. You go to the gym to look good and feel good and be more confident, and 10 years down the line, 6 kilos, 8 kilos of lean muscle mass, 12% body fat, you're less confident than you ever have been. You still think that you look fat and skinny at the same time. Body dysmorphia comes into play, and I think that is also something that also has to be dealt with in a completely separate way. We tend to go to the gym, and I'm sure that a lot of people here, comparison is the thief of joy. When you compare yourself to other people, especially when you're in the gym, when you see people lift heavier than you, especially for us as PTs, who are surrounded day in and day out by people who are strong, who are fit, who are capable, who lift well. Also people who don't lift well, who aren't doing that great. We are stuck in such a physical aspect that then trying to deal with things like body dysmorphia or body image or mental health in terms of confidence can be very, very rough. And so that also has to be addressed, whether it's in or out of the gym, doing things that help you get away from that mindset. My body dysmorphia, when you remember when I hit 8%. Oh my God.
Miserable.
Look, I was shredded, but getting there was miserable. Getting out of it was even worse. The body dysmorphia that I developed then was the worst that I've ever felt it. And even still, 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, I'm still actively working on it every single day and fighting it. It's absolutely horrendous, the kind of state that it gets into. And I think that is also mainly due to social media. So many people post their physiques and their journeys, and a lot of people lie. You would be surprised by how many people lie about their physiques or how they got them. And all these people who get these physiques, most of them don't know jack shit about health or how the muscle actually works. And so they're giving advice to people who want to get in shape the wrong way. And people end up doing it and they don't see the results. And they're like, why did they do it and I didn't? And suddenly the body dysmorphia starts playing up. And then the injuries start happening. And you start beating yourself up on it. Like it's so... This whole social media when it comes to physiques and fitness training is so toxic. Which is why when I find a social media fitness personality that promotes it the right way, I jump all guns in, because you have to start respecting people who are honest about the process.
Well, a good example of someone who's a piss take, which unfortunately he's getting a lot of money for, is Chris Hemsworth. So I'm going to say this just flat out for anyone who is watching. He is on steroids. He is on some kind of performance-enhancing drugs.
100%.
You just need to look at the movies he was in when he was significantly younger, before Marvel. Look at him in Thor 2, Thor 3. That man is juiced out of his mind. Now, everyone in Hollywood is on steroids. Fine. But he has an app called Centered, some workout app where I don't think he explicitly says it, but there is a heavy implication that this bullshit style of 6 minutes, 6 exercises, 6 rounds, whatever, it's all a marketing gimmick centered around the number 6. That is how he got his physique. There is a very heavy implication, and he is using his body as almost a representation that this is how he got it. For me, dance is not really part of my culture. I'm from Eastern Europe. It's not that common that at birthday parties, at Christmas, at events, whatever, that we're just dancing all the time. It is for you. The one thing I always poked at you for is because, especially when I was learning, you would explain things as if they're so obvious and they're so easy. But the one thing you can't know, because you just can't, it's what it's like to not be a dancer because it's been part of your whole life.
Very true.
What do you make of that? Because for me, it's when I started dancing bachata and salsa 2 years ago, it wasn't dancing bachata salsa, it was learning how to dance. I didn't know what musicality, rhythm, tempo, flow, whatever. I didn't know what anything was. How does that, looking back on it now, like the approach you had with me, how does it seem?
Oh, bro. Look, You are very right in the sense the fact that I don't know what it's like to not be able to dance. I mean, yes, in other dance styles, sure. But trying to... The reason... Okay, let's take it back. I started teaching salsa and bachata at university, right? A group of us decided to create at Royal Holloway, which is where I went to uni. Decided to create the Salsa Society, which was supposed to get Latinos and people who wanted to dance in one place. What it ended up turning into, which was I assumed what it was going to turn into, was me teaching dance 2-3 times a week, which is what that ended up sticking as. And it stuck for 6, 7, 8 years. Okay? It was my baby. The idea to teach dance was there to give people an experience, like you said, that their culture might not have given them the ability to take part in before, and enjoy it in that sense. I, before that, had never been to a salsa lesson ever. Mm-hmm. I was teaching off of what I knew, learning how to culturally dance from my country, my family. Yes, thankfully, a lot of those things helped push the dance forward. I competed with it and won first place awards, which was great. But because I'd never been on the other side of things, teaching things, I had a way of teaching that might not have made sense, especially the more you know about dance, which is what happened with you. You were getting into it and it was good, and then you got into it properly with proper teachers, and you're like, this guy, the way he taught. But yeah, I was teaching from an experience point of view with things that I did, that I knew, not from a, this is how this dance is. It was more, this is how we dance this. Look, looking back at it now, I would not change a thing. I loved it and a whole bunch of people loved it, but I think it would have been beneficial to know that when people really wanted to carry it on forwards and do it at a higher level, the way that you are now, maybe an explanation as to how the way that I taught dance was probably something that you should scrap.
It would have saved a lot of time.
But then again, now you know ways that you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And
from personal experience.
Yeah, but we still had fun.
Yeah,
we enjoyed it. And again, like, I don't know if you've ever told the story. But the way that I got Alex to come dancing is the fact that I was telling him that I was going every week or so, and he said that he wanted to join in, and without having a class, without having absolutely anything, I took him with me to bar salsa, and I'm like, my brother, choose somebody to dance with, have fun. And it took like a couple of weeks, didn't it? Mm-hmm. And then you got into the groove of things and you asked somebody to dance. I remember being so proud. You asking the first person to dance. Like, he's only been doing this like twice, and it was in a non-lesson setting. And I think in the lessons that I was teaching, yeah, look, forget the technique, but it was the idea was to carry on the passion and to carry on the way that dance should feel above everything else, which is something that I think my main focus was at these classes. Yeah, teach the step, but how you should act with it, how it should feel for when you're dancing with a partner, how it should feel as a follow, and the etiquette, at least in my country, of how you should approach dance. This was, I guess, the first time that a lot of these men in England were dancing with a partner where it wasn't at a club. And so my main lesson was, yes, look, these are the steps, but the way that you approach this has to lead to you having more respect for the opposite sex. And so I don't know if I did this in the year that you were there, but one of my favorite lessons ever to teach was to sit all the girls down, to play the music, and to turn around to the guys and say, okay, I'm going to play the music. I need you to dance. And you're going to dance over to the girl who you want to dance with. and you have to ask her to dance with you.
You made the joke that this is what you were gonna do.
I never did it.
I never did
I never did it
but
with
I
you.
didn't know you actually did that.
Oh, I've actually done
That's
this.
terrifying.
And so, especially considering the fact that the hall where we used to teach, which was in the main club's dance hall, where I told you guys, the place where I used to teach it was like a quarter the size. And so I used to sit all the girls down and play music and tell the guys, look, go and dance with the girl that you want to dance with, and convince them to dance with you without saying anything. If she says yes, great work. If she says no, time to go and find somebody else.
Sucks to be you.
And it's something that happens at bar salsa or in social settings, which is where I learned how to dance, which is you have to go and you have to ask the girls to dance with you, but the way that they say yes is by you showcasing that you can dance in the first place. They want to dance with you because they know the fact that you're going to make them look good. And so this is the kind of lessons that I was trying to instill, to beat the fear of talking to women, but also knowing how to approach them in a respectful way. Whereas I know the fact that if any of you have been to uni in this country, the way to get a girl to dance with you is by going dancing up behind her and grinding up on her while she's dancing, which I do not recommend. Especially if you know the way that English girls will react to that kind of dancing.
And just hope you get lucky and you didn't just sexually harass someone.
Exactly. But that was the purpose of the dancing. Now, the actual technique, I'll let that slide.
Don't worry about it.
But yeah.
As much trouble as I give you for all of that, the one thing you taught me is how to feel the dance. The amount of times, I probably get this solely from you, because the way I learned dance, I couldn't develop my own style until I leached onto someone, just tried to copy them as much as I could, and then copy the next person until something forms for me. And the biggest compliment I get when I dance is when people think I'm Colombian. I'm like, you wish.
I love that.
Like, absolutely
I love
not.
that.
But they say, this was even before I started dancing in Cali. When I was just doing regular crossbody, they would say, there's just like this thing you have. I'm like, yo, the guy who taught me, my best friend, he's Colombian. They're like, there you go. Yeah, but that's the thing. I remember I think the best way to get into dance, forget the technique, it's to integrate yourself into the social culture of it. Mm-hmm. So going to temple and not knowing any moves, I think was the best thing I could have done, because I got over that fear. And I remember there was this one time I went on a Sunday. This would have been maybe a year and a half ago. I went there, I got in a bit late, so I think the energy was already like high, and I might have been having a bad day or something, but I was just trying to get the mood up. I could not bring myself to ask anyone to dance. I don't know if I've told you this.
Yeah, you told me about this.
For like an hour, I just stood there looking at everyone, and maybe like 3 times I was like, I was paralyzed to try and ask someone to dance, and I just couldn't do it. And I remember the very beginning going to temple, the sheer rejection factor, the risk of rejection, I needed to change my trousers every time I did it. It was terrifying. And now I have such confidence that if they say no, it's probably not because of me. Because I know I'm not harassing anyone. I know I'm not overstepping a boundary. I know I'm at the very least good enough that they would want to dance. So for example, there was this girl a couple days ago, I've never seen her before, but she looked like Latina. So I was like, okay, she can probably dance. So I went up to her to ask her to dance, and I thought it was just bad timing, but she kind of conveniently turned away as I went to tap on the shoulder, and then she was still talking with her friend, and something felt weird about it. I was like, it felt like some silly school thing where they were actively just ignoring my existence, but I'd never met them before, so I thought, I don't have time for this. Let me just firmly tap her on the shoulder and ask if she could. And the way she just dismissed me was like she just spat on my existence. But because of the place I'm in, I thought, okay, next. I just moved on, and I didn't care. Yeah.
It's funny because that's something that we have in Colombia, and I can't remember the exact name for it, but at every party, every wedding, everything, every birthday party, you have a table with food, and the men who are sat around the table eating are the ones who can't get a dance. Uh-huh. But it comes from that. It comes from being able to build that confidence, and it's something that I've seen with you definitely over the past 2 years. Obviously, I threw you into the deep end, but for you to now you go, and if you can, the first couple of times, learn how to beat the fear and approach people and ask them to dance. Once you know what you're doing, it's just smooth sailing from there. There is no bit where you, and yeah, sometimes you'll still feel a bit of, it depends on how emotions are running, and depends who's around. But now you go and 10 people say no, and you kind of just brush it off, and you go find somebody else, or you dance on your own until a girl will come up to you and dance with you. And I've seen that happen, where and again, something that happens in Colombia sometimes will be the fact that the guy's dancing, the guy's having fun, and the girls will turn around and be like, hey, can I get next dance? Can I get next dance? Because it's...
Excuse me, papi?
Yeah, and it's the confidence thing, right? It's the beauty. I remember I went to Spain. I went to Spain 5-6 years ago, and it was over New Year's. We spent Christmas there, I think, and it was over New Year's, and I met a friend there, and we all went dancing for New Year's, and there was this salsa club. And something that you need to know about Spain, if you get offended, then I know that this is referring to you. Spanish men cannot dance. Okay? But the majority of them cannot dance. Spanish women can. And at this salsa club, all the guys were standing at the bar drinking, and all the girls were on the floor dancing. And so me, being a dancer, knowing the fact that I can dance, went up to a girl and said, hey, excuse me, would you like to dance? And she looked me up and down and said, you can dance? I said, I'd very much like to be able to show you. And she goes, nah, I'm good. I'm like, perfect. So I went and I danced with somebody else. And after I danced with somebody else, she came up to me afterwards and said, oh, excuse me, can I have a dance? I'm like, sorry, you have to wait in line. And it was the idea, the fact that even in a Latin country where people are around dancing, the culture can play such a very interesting way as to how you are approached and how you react to that approach. The times that I've had it in this country, whereby I approach a girl and she'll tend to blow me off, will either tend to be for a couple of different reasons. She's with her friends, she's drinking, but most of the times it tends to be a Spanish girl who is used to Spanish guys coming and asking them to dance, who can't dance, and then the rest of the dance is enjoyable. So what we've learned here is the best Latin country is Colombia, and yeah.
There's a very interesting dynamic with because that just applies to life everywhere, to get over that fear of rejection. So you have a background in corporate sales. When you transition to being a personal trainer, approaching people and trying to enlist their services, let's say, or get them to enlist yours and get them as clients, was like, you didn't care because it was just a numbers game. I was like, all right, talk to as many people as you can, just go. I was paralyzed with fear at the thought of that because I don't have any sales background at all. But when I first started as a trainer, even breaching the subject of... There's a fundamental shift in my mindset that happened. I don't know if you've ever had it because you had the sales background. I went from, okay, I need money, this is my work, I need to get you as a client, versus I have something that can help you. I know things that you may not, and there's only one way to find out. Doesn't matter how big you are, doesn't matter how small I see myself. The fact is, this is my job. I have plenty of years of experience in this. I know for a fact, just because you may look in shape doesn't mean you know everything, because no one knows everything. That fundamental shift of, okay, I need to approach them to get them as a client versus I need to approach them because I might have something to help is ridiculously helpful. And just like getting over that fear of asking women to dance in a social, the fear is they reject you. That fear is the same that I had with the gym that we're at now. And I remember in the first maybe couple months of me working there, you sat me down in the manager's office and you like had a word with me. You basically talked some sense into me. You said, I've been here for maybe a month or two, but you've barely seen me. I haven't been doing any of it. And it was a very nice it was a nice wake up call. And that's when you started giving me sales tips, even the most simple of things. Now, even approaching someone on the street, I don't care about anymore. Compare that to how I used to be. I was not even even before you met me. Picture how bad I was when you met me, and then times it by 5. Approaching anyone to dance, good luck with that. Approaching anyone as a client, good luck with that. So it's funny when people ask me like, "Oh, how is the work you do?" I say, for me, I'm chilling. But it depends on what kind of person you are, especially in our gym, because we have a lot of eccentric personalities. Yeah. So if you don't stand out, forget what you know as a trainer. If you don't stand out as a person, you're not going to fit in. And we have very distinct trainers in the gym.
Oh, yeah.
So that feeling of getting over the fear of asking people to dance, getting over the fear of approaching people with help has been a very big change. Did you ever have anything like that? Because you went straight into sales. You seem like a salesy person naturally anyway.
Well, look, it's having a sales background. So for those of you who don't know, I worked sales in the investment sector, mainly working with hedge funds. Okay.
It means big money.
Big money. So, and my dad is an entrepreneur. I worked with him in his sales company, selling jewelry, and I started off there. Everything that I did at uni was business and international sales. Okay, and so when I started working with the tech companies that I started working with at the beginning, or this investment company, towards the end of my corporate career, right? I was working with tens of thousands of pounds. Very, very big deals. We're talking about the deals that could close for 5, 10, 15, 20, 50K. And so transitioning that to a one-by-one process where I'm trying to sell to someone to pay 500 kind of seemed kind of nonsensical. Oh, this is going to be very simple because of the amount of money that I'm asking. But I think what I learned most from the sales process was I have something that is of value to you. Whereas in sales, I had to call and find out if what I had was beneficial for them, if they were using any other systems, if our product would even make sense to be able to help them in their day-to-day runnings of the company. What I'm doing at the gym is I am in a place where every single person who walks through that door needs what I have. Every person who walks through that door is looking for to improve themselves physically. They can see it as a form of therapy, but they're all there to achieve the same thing. And my job is to sell my knowledge and myself to be able to convince them that I am the right way to go to get them to their goals faster. Everybody in that gym needs me. And so once you start seeing it from a point of view of, I'm not trying to sell to you, it's I'm trying to help you get to where you want to be faster, the sales process kind of diminishes itself. And this is something that I remember talking to you about, which was going up to people and not trying to sell. It's going up to people and being like, hey, have you tried this? Do this instead. Let me know how it feels. It's good? Done. I'm not here to sell to you. What I'm doing is I'm letting you know the fact that I know things that are going to make you feel better. And eventually, whether it's after one conversation, whether it's 10, you are going to come back to me and you're going to be like, when did I feel the best results? When did I feel the most pain from this exercise? Or when did I see the most difference? It's when Antonio gave me the tip on this. I am now ready to pursue or to be able to afford a personal trainer. And so I'm the first person in mind. And being able to take all of that sales knowledge that I had on how to prospect, on how to know when people are ready to buy or not, on how to close. Something that for me is super simple, that even talking to some of the personal trainers in the gym, they don't do, which is you have an introductory session that the gym gives you for 30 minutes with a personal trainer. The first thing that I need to do to distinguish myself from anybody there is to make sure the fact that I am creating value. How do I create value? Double the amount of time that you get from me for free. And so by automatically saying, everybody's giving you 30 minutes, I can give you an hour, already creating value from the first moment without them having to purchase absolutely anything. From then on, during that hour, being able to show them as much as I can, because I have to let them know the fact that I'm knowledgeable in what I'm talking about, but also talking to them like they are already a client cements the idea in their head that going forward there is no existence whereby they and I are not working together. And so I don't know if you remember in Jan, Feb, even around March time, I had to stop taking clients because I built so many due to the simple fact that I was just following the process. And for me, it's a step-by-step process on how to do it, but throughout the whole time, letting them know this is what's going to work for you, this is the benefit of what's going to come through it, but you also have control over the process. I'm not a dictator in this. I'm letting you know what works. I'm letting you know how it's going to work. I'm letting you see yourself or get a preview of yourself 6 months, a year, 3 years down the line. But at the same time, I'm letting you know the fact that you have full control over this destination, over this end goal as to what we're getting to. And you and I are going to be working as a team. Even more so, you and I are going to be working with me working for you. This is the only, and I don't know if you've ever heard me say this at the gym, it's one of my favorite lines to use. this hour that you and I have is the only hour you can guarantee out of your entire day that the person you are talking with is 100% dedicated to you. There is no ulterior motive. I am here to make you better. I'm here to train you. You've paid for my time for the hour. This hour is for you and only you. Everything that I say, everything that we talk about, every correction that I make, everything that I praise you for is designed to improve you. So anything that happens with this hour, this is the only hour that you can guarantee where somebody is 100% dedicated to you without an ulterior motive. And that is something that I try to bring across every single session that I have with absolutely every single client, even the first free hour that they get before they decide on a personal trainer. And that was all coming from the sales process, making sure the fact that somebody feels comfortable. If I can make somebody feel comfortable with a 25K deal, I can make an individual who is now being selfish because the 25K deal is for the business, tends to be somebody who's not even in charge making the decision. For me to convince somebody who's going to reap every single one of the rewards, this is a no-brainer. You'd be silly to not get a personal trainer.
Every time I hear you say that, at the end of it, I'm like, maybe I need a trainer as well. You want to train me? Something you brought up when you create the value. Someone asked me a very good question, which was I think this applies maybe a bit more to me because I'm trying to do more online stuff than you. It's just pure all the videos. But it probably still applies to how you approach people you don't know. Someone said, they asked me, are you not worried that you're giving out too much value, that they just won't need you? And I had to think about that for a second because my reaction is no, but I couldn't really flesh out why. So I thought, no, but let me think about it, give you an answer. And then I realized what it is. When they come to us, it's not for the value that we have. It's not for the value that we know. It's not for the valuable things that we know. It's for the approach that we take to know what is valuable or not. Mm-hmm. So when I make 5 videos a week, let's say, on the most common things in fitness, and someone says, are you not worried someone is not going to want to train with you because you've already given everything you have? I'm like, I'm never going to give everything I have. You are never going to give everything you have to a potential client. There's nothing stopping me from the same person I see in the gym every single day for a month. I can give them a tip every single day. I can give them 2, 3 tips. Because even if they flush out everything I have, which they can't, even if they did, half of it is going to be obsolete in like a year because things change. So many things I used to advise my clients on, now I don't, because I now understand the body better. Science is a bit more up to date. Mm-hmm. The most easiest example is people saying you should keep a perfectly straight back when you deadlift. That used to be the stigma for ages, that you're not allowed to load your spine and flex it because it's going to mess up your back. Long story short, turns out the people that were purporting that study was essentially, those studies were essentially done on dead pig spines, which when you load it under flexion, the spine is going to mess up. But the difference is, forget that we're not pigs, we're alive and we adapt. There's a reason why every muscle needs to be trained through full range of motion. Yeah. But minus that, I can keep giving all this info online because I know my value does not come from what I know. My value comes from how I see things. Same for you, same for all people that are experts in their business. So that's why if someone comes to me and says, can I get a training plan for you? I'm like, no, because I need to know what your body does. I need to know how it works. If you pay me like £100 for a training plan now, you might as well spend £5 on one online that you can get somewhere because it's probably going to be just as effective. I need to know your body because I'm not just there to tell you what to do. I'm there for every contingency plan you need. I'm there for every low moral motivation discipline day. Trainers, a good trainer, and we can talk about this for a long time, but we'll save that for another time. Oh, yeah. A good trainer is not just someone who puts you through 50,000 exercises and kills you every single session. They don't train you as hard as you can. They train you as hard as you should. And that's how you should approach your own training. Completely. But it's not that, okay, you're giving out all the value. It's not like you have a finite supply of knowledge that, okay, I need to guard the rest. Don't gatekeep anything you know. There was a period in my career where I thought, I don't want to share what I know because it makes me special. Then I realized, actually, no, it doesn't. Because I can share that thing with them, but it doesn't mean they're going to implement it in the same way. It doesn't mean they're going to spot it in the same way. Same with dance, for example. There was a point where I was like, okay, I know certain things that this person I'm trying to get better at, better than. I don't want to share it with them. But then I thought, no, I'll share it with them. because they're not built like me, so they have different leverages in the way they do it. They might interpret the music differently. Knowledge is just that. It's just that one thing.
Yeah.
If it was as simple as, okay, I have the knowledge, everyone would be rich geniuses because of the amount of information that's online. That's it. But it's not a question of, when you get your own trainer, it's not a question of, they're going to tell me what I need to know. You have the source of accountability. You have the source of someone to hold you to the routine you need to. And it's like a life insurance. You don't get life insurance to tell you how to live life well. It's what happens when things go wrong.
And I think this is something that my dad says, which I fully agree with. Is a difference between being intelligent and wise. Intelligence is having it, is having the knowledge. Wisdom is intelligence applied. And I think that what happens is a lot of people have the knowledge, but they don't know how to apply it. The benefit of having a personal trainer is the fact that we come with that intelligence, having applied it ourselves.
If you get a good one.
Which, by the way, there's some horrendous PTs out. I mean...
No, there are.
No. They're all great.
They're all great. The qualification is all you need to be good at your job.
We have the experience backed up into it. We have applied it, not just to ourselves, but to other people. We know the results of what it looks like applied it to 10, 15, 20 different people, hundreds. We have the knowledge of being able to look into videos. And something that I at least try to do is everything that I learn, I apply to myself. And I do it myself. If it works, great. Why did it work? Why is it beneficial? If it didn't, why? And why did it work for this other person? What could be tweaked for me to feel it the exact same way? Applied intelligence on that, applied knowledge on that is where things come through. But I fully agree. Look, the whole value. People buy off of how you make them feel. As humans, we are emotional creatures. People buy based off of that. You could share everything you know, and somebody won't buy. You compliment them 6 times throughout their workout, they're more likely to buy from you. And it's being able to have the balance. Something that I'll always do, and I don't know if you've ever heard me on the gym floor saying this, but I'll go up to somebody and I'll be like, hey, first things first, fantastic weight that you're using. You're lifting very heavy, and I love your twist when you're loading it up. Could I give you a little tip on how to make it better? There's no way to take offense from that. I am complimenting you, and now I'm trying to help you. I've also heard a lot of PTs, not even in our gym, but in other places. I've heard people give me stories of how PTs have come up to them and tried to fix them. And they're like, oh, but I don't like it because the PT thinks they know more. A simple change of wording can be the difference between that value that you have being seen and that value that you have being ignored. And I think that's where the emotional connection to the individual comes into play. And why good PTs? You'll tend to have somebody who trained with me last week turned and said to me that he spoke to his friend about wanting a PT. And he said, how do I choose the PT? Do I choose the biggest guy? And his friend turned and said, no, you choose the guy who, when he's training his clients are having the most fun. And that solidifies it. It's about how you're feeling. It's about your sessions being going well, and not just being about that knowledge. It's about how the person's feeling. Men's Health releases an issue every month?
Mm-hmm. I think.
Every month for the past 10 years, they have different workouts as to what's going to get you shredded. That tells me everything I need to know. If the magazine every month released an upgrade to the program that you'd done the month before and said, if you did this program, I recommend do this and do this, fucking trust it. It is progressive overload. You are conditioning your body to it. You are pushing through and you're sticking through it, fair enough. A magazine that promotes a different workout every month and they're all going to get you shredded, if that was true, every buyer of Men's Health would be jacked.
Which unfortunately they're not.
And you have to really take time to learn the process. Find a personal trainer who's good. Which again, sometimes is a lot more difficult. And
it is very difficult because when there's certain things in life that everyone should have like a foundation knowledge on. Know how to manage your finances. Know how to be emotionally aware of yourself. Know how to manage your stress.
Know how to deal with conflict.
Know how to deal with conflict. Know how to de-escalate certain situations. Know a certain level of combat sport so you can physically defend yourself. You should also have, I think, a bare minimum knowledge of how the body works. Now, that is still easier said than done, because even like when we do our qualification, one, we know most of what they already tell us because of experience, but two, a lot of what they say is wrong. The easiest example that I always give to clients is squats. You're told your knees are not allowed to go over your toes because it's bad for your knees. They say you're not allowed to go full range of motion because it's bad for everything. They say you're supposed to drive through your heels because it targets your bum better or whatever. And
you have a beautiful example on the knees over toes. And it's something that I say to my clients. What is it?
What?
To give an example as to why knees over toes is natural.
Have you ever gone up the stairs?
There it is.
If you believe that bringing your knees over your toes is bad for your joints, forget in what context. Forget if it's squats or just day to day. If you believe knees over toes in squats is bad, you must believe knees over toes just in anything is bad, because you can't balance the two. If you believe knees over toes is bad, just look at yourself going up the stairs, okay? You're not going to be walking in some perfect shin vertical up to the ceiling thing. You are going to have a bit of knee bendage, okay? If your body is designed to do something, which your knee is designed to bend, why would you think, and I'm trying so hard to not ridicule the people who believe this because it's not their fault. How could you think that doing the thing your body is designed for is bad for you? If my elbow is designed to bend, and then I bend it all the way, full range of motion when I do an exercise, it's not bad for you. If my shoulder is designed to go all the way up, why would I stop a shoulder raise just here? So squat is the same with the easiest example.
It's also I use an example that I love with my clients. If you're into any type of fitness, you'll know about shoulder impingements, and you'll know the issue that you get from shoulders that a lot of people have done by shoulder pressing wrong or bench pressing wrong. When talking about shoulder press, I have so many people daily. I correct like 5-6 people on a daily basis where their elbows are completely flared out, and the example that I give to them is this. If you are trying to put a box on the top shelf of your kitchen, how do you lift it? Do you lift it like this, or do you lift it in front? This is the movement when you're pushing something heavy up high. Same thing should apply to the shoulders. It's being able to have the ability to look outside and realize what the body is naturally capable of doing and how that is going to translate into the gym to make you functional. And how the movement is best done. Mm-hmm. But again, it's not the fault of anybody who's caught in this, because a lot of people, especially some of the big guys who take roids, who lifting will increase the muscle mass, they'll tell you how to do things because it worked for them, because any stimulation is going to help them grow. Sit down and ask yourself, does this make sense? What I love is when clients of mine ask me questions. But Antonio, why is it like this? But why do it like this instead of like this? Antonio, I saw this. Does this make sense? And being able to sit down with my clients and explain to them through detail how the body works is one of the best things possible. Because I know, and this might sound like horrendous marketing, but one day they are not going to be my clients. And the lessons that I hope stick aren't push hard and drive through. The lessons that I hope stick are going to be question what you're being told and decide if that makes sense for the body mechanics that you've learned with me. And if the movement doesn't inherently make sense, you have to ask yourself why. And what kind of movement would be better. Or it's the process of learning. I try to give my clients everything that I learned as a PT and as a weightlifter that has gotten me to this point, all the good stuff. Almost like if they take a course tomorrow, they should be able to pass it, because I'm trying to teach them everything that they should know about their bodies to be able to progress without a personal trainer down the line.
A lot of trainers don't say this, but we basically want to turn them into mini versions of ourselves. Yeah. Because if you come to me, you are not. If you come to us, or if they come to you, if they come to me, you are not coming for a trainer. You are coming for me as a trainer. You're coming. The whole point of my favorite question, which unfortunately people don't ask a lot. A lot of the time, it's why do they need a trainer? That's what they say. It's like, why do I... The thought process is, okay, forget you. Why do I need a trainer at all? Which my answer is always, you don't. No one needs a trainer. You can get the body you want. Might take you 8 years. Mm-hmm. You might have a massive learning curve of so many things you're going to do wrong, because you don't understand the body the way we do, and that's okay, because this is our jobs. We need to understand it. But there are going to be so many mistakes you learn. Best case, you just waste a lot of time. Worst case, you mess yourself up. You might get a lot of injuries. You might get some permanent things that happen, whatever. But my favorite question is if I don't think anyone's ever explicitly asked me this yet, but if they were to say, I'm looking for a trainer, why should I take you? And then the answer to that is because I'm not a trainer. I'm me as a trainer, because I have a certain way I look at things. I have a certain experience that no one does. I have a certain way of breaking down things that are complicated into a way that you can understand. And that's it. My job is not to be big and to look a certain way. My job is you are in this starting point. You want to get to here. I know I can help you get there. I'm not going to make you get there. This is your job. I'm here to help you as best I can. I'm your guide. I'm going to hold your hand as long as you need. But like you said, eventually I want you to go away.
Yeah, that's the sign of a good personal trainer.
Is that you don't need them.
Is that you don't need them. If you want me there, because I help motivate you, because I help keep you in check and keep you accountable, fair play.
Which some people need. Some people just need that accountability.
And look, and I have my clients, especially clients who have gone through stuff, who have had physical injuries, who are building up from the ground up, simply because they want somebody there, because that's how they work better. Fair play. But you should not need me after a certain point. You should have all the knowledge that you need to be able to go out and spend a while focusing on how you're going to do it and creating your own plan and doing it yourself. You don't need me past that point. Whether you want me or not is a completely different story. And then if a client, look, that's why whenever a client leaves with me, let's say 6 months down the line or 9 months down the line or 3 months down the line, and I'm proud. Brilliant work. Whatever you need, I'm going to be here for you. Know that. But I'm so proud of you. Go spread your wings, smash it out. And if you need me, I'm always here for you. You can always come back. Not a problem. But seeing them, especially the ones who weren't confident at the beginning, and I'm sure you've had these before, the ones who are starting off in the gym, they're like, oh, I don't feel confident in the weights area. And then 6 months down the line, they're like, look, thank you. I want to try the next 6 months on my own. Mm-hmm. And you see them every freaking day. 4 or 5 days a week, you see them in the gym on their own, pushing the weights and loading up, and they send you a text, hey, guess what I did? Hey, guess what I did? The pride in, honestly, nothing beats it. I love all of my clients. They're, make me so proud of them.
It's a great feeling because especially when you have the freedom to work with who you want. Because when I started working in my other gym, it was more of I'll take anyone. There were many people I worked with who best case, we just didn't click. The energies just didn't match. That's okay. But a lot of the time, out of the necessity of I need money, you just take on anyone. And the two of the worst examples I have, which there have been worse in the world, but these are just my worst. One of them, he was a dude who had 2 sessions a week for, I think he lasted a month. Of those 10 sessions, he showed up to 4. But the thing is, couple of our sessions, multiple times we had on a Saturday and a Sunday, which with hindsight, I don't know why I was working in the mornings on the weekend. I would never do that now.
Money.
We would have like an 8 a.m. start on a Saturday and a Sunday, and that's horrendous. He would not only not show up, he would let me know about 10 minutes into the session, he's not coming.
Already awake, dressed, already at the gym.
I'm wrong. I would get there for 8 a.m. on a Saturday, for example. He would not message me until 3 hours after I don't even remember what he said, but obviously he didn't come. So I just used that time to train or whatever. Then he said, okay, are we still good for tomorrow morning? He's like, yeah. Doesn't show up at all. I'm still charging him because ain't no way you're getting me into the gym.
No,
and I'm
on a weekend at 8 a.m. and you don't think that I'm charging you.
That's one. That was more of a case of he was clearly not ready to start training. Mm-hmm. Whatever was going on in his life, he tried, fair enough, he wasn't ready. Second one, which polar opposite, but still the other worst example. There's this dude who came to me, and after maybe a month or two, we had 2 sessions a week. We had 1 session left in the block, and I remember we were doing a lot of full body and a lot of leg sessions as well, but a lot of split. Legs were hit almost every session because he needed it, because judging by his goals, blah blah blah, this is what he needed. He made no deal of it during the session. He would simply ask what we're doing. I would say, this is what we're doing. He'd say, oh, are we doing legs again? I would explain, this is why. I'm like, okay. So in my mind, okay, he understands why we're doing it. He puts his faith in me. I am your trainer. If you don't understand why we're doing it, keep questioning me until you do. I'm never going to say you need to blindly do this just because. No. If I want to turn you into a mini-me, you need to understand why I'm doing it. If you come up with a question I can't answer, that's great. Or if you point something out that I realize is wrong, even better. So I'm like, that's amazing.
And now you're helping me learn.
Yep.
Brilliant.
The most recent example of that, you might actually like this as well. You know how on Romanian deadlifts you elevate your toes?
Yes.
You know why you feel it more? Which I've realized now? I don't think it's to do with the muscle at all. I think it's just the sciatic nerve you're stretching. So the sensation, it might help people engage with their hamstrings in that it shifts the weight differently.
Do you know why else I think?
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this the other day.
Yeah.
If you raise your toes up and you bend forward,
Mm-hmm.
one of the movements that people struggle with the most is the hinge
Mm-hmm.
of bringing their bum to the back of the room.
Yep.
By raising your toes, the moment you come down, you have to. There's no lower back engagement.
Mm-hmm.
Full glute and hamstring. Obviously, the idea, like when you raise your heels when you're doing squats, is to eventually be able to do it flat at the same range of motion. Fantastic. But it's a brilliant way. I definitely know the fact that my wife tried it. She loved it. She was training with another one of my clients using the same squat rack. She recommended it to her. The next day I had a session with her. My client was like, oh my God, absolutely amazing tip. Bit by bit, we tapered back. But the fact that it works, brings your bum back, great.
That's a good point. I've never thought of that because
I never thought of the side of either.
It does the opposite because when you elevate your heels on a squat, it makes the range of motion for your ankles easier to go down. But if you elevate your toes on an RDL, it actually makes the range of motion harder to bend your knees at all. So you need to keep a straight leg. But with the sciatic nerve, I think you can elevate the toes if they're very uncoordinated. That's going to help with the hip hinge because if you can find a way to get them to hinge without elevating the toes, it also lets them do more range of motion because if the sciatic nerve is pressed, if it's strained or whatever's happening to it, it's not the muscle contraction sensation you're feeling, it's simply the fact that the nerve is being stretched. When that happens, I think they're also limited to how much range of motion they can do, how much they can shoot their hips back before their nerve just doesn't want to do it. So, interesting little middle ground there.
Yeah.
But what were we talking about before?
We were talking about your client.
My client, the second guy. One session we had left, all of a sudden sends me this big paragraph saying, I'm very unhappy with our training sessions. We've been doing a lot of legs and I told you I didn't want to do it, blah, blah, blah. And this whole time I'm very taken off guard because we can stop doing legs, but not stop, but we can change how we train, but you need to communicate with me. I'm not a mind reader. All you said, maybe 2 sessions, is it's questioned why we did it. You didn't express any dissatisfaction at all. And at the time, because I was much more averse to conflict than I am now. Like I hate conflict now. Back then I was even worse. I couldn't stand up for myself much. He demanded a refund on that last session. And because I was scared and whatever, I gave because I didn't want any trouble. Now if that happens, I'll say, listen, here's a contract. Here's what you signed. I'm your trainer. You put trust in me. The fact is, you are now taking the responsibility onto yourself to think you know best. Communicate with me because I want what's best for you. But yeah, that kind of guy I would not work with now.
No.
And a big part of this with what I think people don't realize, when you have a bigger financial cost of something, you are a lot more invested into making it work.
Oh yeah.
Massive point. There's a certain qualifying. It's like a qualifying factor that okay, yes, we can do this for free in theory, but 1, it's my job, so no. But 2,
you're not going to stick to it.
You're not going to stick to it because there's no investment. There's nothing. You haven't given anything into it. You're just trying it.
It's the reason why, as PTs, you shouldn't train your wives or girlfriends.
So
that's a story for another
your
time.
Significant other as
well. Baby, I love you. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I think it's a difference between, for example, my wife, who obviously I was training her like 4 times a week, but then there's a lot of argument because there's no payment method. There's a question of my methods. There's a question of there's arguing. Fine, you have the opposite now. I had a client sign up to me, and he paid for 40 sessions outright because he knew, and I love the fact that he did this for a reason. It wasn't just let's get 40 sessions because. He paid for 40 sessions because he knew that the monetary value being so high would force him to be at the gym whether he wanted to be or not. And lo and behold, he has shown up to the gym and he's putting a lot more effort because he put in that much, he invested into it. And this is what the fitness is, right? This is what a PT is. You are investing in your future. Investing and putting money into someone who is going to help you get better. So if anybody wants to buy more sessions with me, I'm currently doing 100 packs.
100 packs, £1,000 per hour. Comes out to a lot
of money.
What you were talking about before with how the gym is a big therapy. I think a big thing of what people don't talk about, and I don't get fired or cancelled for this because this is a very interesting thing. It's safe to say men and women deal with things differently.
Yes.
Not all of them deal with it the same. However, something I think I'm realizing more and more, maybe it's just who I am, but I think it is accurate and safe to say this is a generalization.
Ooh. Careful.
My heart rate has already gone up.
Careful.
My blood pressure's spiking. I think when it comes to men's mental health, it is being treated as females' mental health.
Oh,
that's not to say one is better or one is wrong, but they are
just
very different, very different. With your girlfriends, with your female friends, with whatever.
Is it time to pause, brother?
Pausing?
Is it pausing?
You need to pause.
It's 29 minutes.
Are you sure?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, my bad.
Oh, cool.
When it comes to your girlfriends and your female friends, you can get away with a lot of positive affirmations. A lot of boosting them up, getting their self-esteem up, talking good things to them. Fine, it works. And it works. No, it doesn't work for every single woman, but we're generalizing, so don't get angry at me.
We're generalizing. We're not talking about
generalizing.
everybody.
However, positive affirmations, I don't think do much for men.
No, for us, it is...
We need to do things.
We need to feel capable.
We need to feel capable, and the only way to feel capable is to do the thing we can't do.
Sitting there and talking about it.
Yep.
No. And look, on that, look, you and I have both had, call them episodes of depression, sadness, etc. And I think that's why, I mean, definitely for me, it's doing things and feeling like I'm in charge of myself, feeling capable of the stuff that I'm doing. If I went out and I achieved something and I did something difficult and hard and I completed it, it would make me feel so good about myself. Sitting down and talking about it doesn't. If anything, sitting down and talking about it annoys the hell out of me. And it makes it worse. And I think that you're very right. We are generalizing. Man, man, I'm gonna have to search quotation marks. We are having to start. We need to start looking at mental health differently.
Have the chance to say anything. It was so therapeutic and so freeing. It's like one of my bucket list things is to go into the middle of the wild somewhere where no one can hear me and just yell as loud as I can.
It's a lot of fun. I recommend it.
Yeah, it's the exact same principle, I think. To be able to emotionally get that burden off you, because it was a very heavy thing I was going through at the time. It was out of my control. It was to do with people who I loved, but I wasn't technically involved. I was just like a third party, but it was such a difficult situation and other things that were on my mind. That was a time where therapy was amazing. The second instance, there was this, I forget her name. I don't know, but she was this like Texan, like this old Texan black lady, like typical like grandma safe vibes. Like you just want to talk with her and she just like, she calls you honey and you're like,
you feel warm. Yeah.
I had one session with her and she gave me the one solid thing she gave me from that. This would have... A couple years ago, I went through a very difficult situation. Something happened. It lasted for a good few months, and it was still plaguing my mind. I had that session with her because, bless you.
Oh my days!
I had that. You good?
Yeah, but hay fever is mental in this country, you know. Anyways,
I had the session with her, and she said this one piece of information that stuck with me. Bless you.
Which was?
Which was?
Jesus Christ! I apologize.
It's okay. Just God hates you and gave you hay fever.
Right?
Imagine not being able to... Huh?
No?
Hope the microphone didn't pick that up. She gave me this one thing. And we were talking about something. And I said this one thing. I said, it is my responsibility to bring out the best in people. That's how I carry myself. Bless you.
You might have to cut this.
I'm trying to bring out a non-hay fever side of you, but it's not working.
It's not working.
You good?
I'm crying for that reason, actually. I'm allergic to what you're talking about.
I told her that I feel like it's my responsibility to bring out the best people, so that's how I act. And I forget exactly what she said, but she made me realize I was so silly for thinking that, which I am. I don't think it's your responsibility to bring out the best in anyone. You need to sneeze?
No.
You want some water?
No, this is where we differ, you and me. Because,
Oh, are you replying to what I'm thinking?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let me finish. I thought you needed to sneeze.
No. Oh, God.
I believe it is my responsibility to act the best way I can and to respect people because I don't know what's going on. However, to actively try and bring out the best in them, to try and bring out the best, I don't think is good. In terms of facilitating an environment where their best can flourish, I think that's different to actively trying to get the best out. It's kind of like if I invite you to my house. Either I take care of every little women need you have, where I bring you the toilet in my hands somehow, and every 5 seconds I'm like, are you hungry? Are you hungry? You want some food? It's not possible. It might be. Versus, I keep my toilet clean. I ask you every now and then, are you good? I just read the room to see how you feel. I keep my house presentable. I create an environment where you feel relaxed versus I'm trying to make sure you're okay. You know what I mean?
So provide the scenario to be instead of pushing it to be.
Try and facilitate the environment with someone where their best can come out and shine versus trying to bring out the best in them. You get what I mean? It's an interesting one. You gotta think it for a good second.
It's making me think. Because I like the way that you're phrasing this.
And this is the first time I've ever phrased it, by the way. Because as soon as you said you have some thoughts on it, I knew exactly where you were going with it. And I wanted to cut it because I feel like we're thinking similar things. So what I used to think was, if someone does... Because if your goal is to bring out the best in someone and it doesn't come out, you have failed. That's not a good way to live life interacting with people.
No, you're right. It isn't.
But I
need to change my approach in life.
If I have accepted, okay, it's not my responsibility to bring out the best in you, but I always give you a hug when I see you in the morning. We do a handshake. I give you a big hug, big kiss. I check that you're okay. If I see you're in a bad mood, I make sure that you know I'm here, and then I take a step back. I have faith in myself. I've created an environment
whereby I can then
that you know you can open up to me, and I know you know. Whereas the difference between that and being overbearing would be, no, you're not okay. I need to make sure you're okay.
Oh no,
that's the difference between bringing out the best. I believe the difference of bringing out the best in someone versus creating an environment.
You've changed my perspective on it.
It's very interesting, isn't it?
Very.
And at the time, this was because what I was talking about with the lady, I wish I remembered her name. Something DJ, beginning with DOJ, I don't know. But the minute I said the words... Jemima.
I'm thinking of the... I don't know if you guys have this... in the US, we have this syrup. Aunt Jemima. Yeah.
The minute I said to her, I think something along the lines of, it's my responsibility to bring out the best in people. The minute those words came out my mouth, that was the first time I'd explicitly thought that, and that was a manifestation of what my worldview was, and I finally said it. Because we believe things we don't fully understand, we act in ways we don't realize. Someone might say something that makes so many separate things click, but it's so simple, you're like, why did I not realize that? That's just how our brains work. She allowed that environment, she was great. She allowed me the space to come up with that. As soon as it left my mouth, before she said anything, I realized, that's a really bad thing to think, isn't it? And she explained why. And she said it in very simple terms. I think this was related to, I saw myself as a teacher. It was my responsibility to save people. And what she said, it's not your responsibility to save them. You can guide them, you can offer help. But if it's your responsibility to save them, if they are not saved, then you perceive that as it's on you.
That's me.
Yeah.
That's what I'm like.
Yeah.
I have a hero complex.
Yep. I had a hero complex. Now you know how I've changed in the past couple of years.
You know I haven't.
We're laughing because it's true.
Yeah.
So that was our difference. I thought as a teacher, my job is to save. She went, no, it's to guide. I'm like...
Yeah.
There was this is going to get very personal. There was this very weird dynamic I had with this girl in university. So, a few years ago. She had a very sheltered life. She had a very severe accident where she had very strong scars and, reconstruction surgeries.
Oh yeah.
But it wasn't obvious when you look at her. But when she showed you, you're like, God damn. She was so almost new to life because university is typically a place where you experience the world for the first time. If you come from a sheltered, properly, different cultures, different people. She moved from a different country as well. Her English was good, so that wasn't a problem. We developed a very strange dynamic, which I would never dare to do now because of how borderline dysfunctional it is, where I was teaching her about life, but I was trying to, I don't even know how to put it. I was actively trying to guide her into life. And we had a very strange dynamic that came about. Like we had a romantic thing, but it was a very weird, like parental thing as well. Yeah, I don't.
Daddy?
No, it was weird. It was very weird.
Yeah. I got you, boo.
It was very strange, and that single-handedly stemmed from I know I wanted to try and save her because I thought I could be a hero to her.
Okay.
Now, in terms of the natural, what I believe is masculine imperative of wanting to show your partner the world, wanting to show them new things, I think that's very different to what I'm talking about. So I don't want to conflate the two. If you have traveled the world, if you know so many things about whether it's dance, weightlifting, exercise, whatever. Let's say when you brought your wife into the gym for the first time, you were excited to show her all these things.
Oh yeah.
Not because you wanted to save her, but because I want to show you this because this is good for you.
I want to share my passion, and also it's good for you. Like this is going to benefit you for all the things that I know that you're going to like on the line.
That was not the approach I had with this girl. It was very much I still don't fully understand it, but I just know it was different. It was the difference between creating that environment versus no, I want you to be good.
Taking on the responsibility to force her. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So simply put, if you believe it's your best if you believe it is your responsibility to get the best out of people, when they inevitably don't give their best, that's going to be a reflection on you and your subconscious.
I struggle with that with some of my clients. And it can be quite difficult when you know their potential, which is what I'm sure my teachers felt with me when I was younger. You know they can do better, and they don't push, and they don't. And you sit there and go, man,
what can I do different?
But I had a PT in the gym say something very, very true to me. And he turns around to me and goes, care as much as they care.
Wait.
Exactly.
Wait. Let me get my head around that.
Exactly. Care as much as they care. If they are here for the hour, you are reciprocating by putting in your time for the hour. Once they leave, you know the fact that they're not thinking about fitness, why are you going to sit there and try to think about them? Start putting in the effort that they are clearly showing you. If you have a client who puts more effort in, who messages you their updates, who asks questions, who wants more, who sends improvements, then you can afford to care more because you're putting in time and effort where they are meeting you in the middle for. You are not trying to, I like that. Andor, I want to say thank you for that, brother, because that really solidified in me how to take a step back. Because I think I was burning myself out with a couple of clients. And now taking a step back has led me to understand, well, this is for you. And if I'm giving you, like you said, the environment to flourish and the information to get better. If you don't care enough, why am I stressing myself out over it?
I like that. I like that a lot.
And what makes me laugh is I had the exact same reaction. When you were like, wait, I'm like, wait a second. Wait. I need a moment.
Brain is
but you're super clever, super clever. Yeah, that was an interesting conversation on trauma.
Well, going back to what we were talking about in terms of the way men and women deal with trauma, gym, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
You mentioned body dysmorphia as well. This is something I really like talking about with my clients because when I was younger, I was a lot smaller, I was a lot thinner. Naturally, I'm a very skinny guy.
Lean.
No, skinny with wide frame.
So lean.
Lean with little muscle is like saying fat with big boobs. You're not fat with big boobs. You're just fat. It's like being skinny with abs. You're not.
Doesn't count.
You're just skinny.
Count. Yeah, you're right.
A lot of people got angry at me for saying that. So when I was younger, my goal was to put on size. Now I'm at an okay size for what I want to do and how I see myself. the biggest thing that helped with body dysmorphia was changing my approach. And I always say this to my clients. Do you want to look a certain way or do you want to do a certain thing? Because there's a reason why bodybuilders have the highest rates of dysmorphia. Because just like if your goal is to help someone and to bring out the best and they don't bring out the best, that's failure on you. If your goal is to look bigger than you are, which you'll never do, you're never going to be happy.
It's a never reaching.
It's a never reaching, which is going to keep propelling you forwards and make progress. Yeah. But it comes to a point of, are you looking to become the next Mr. Olympia? Are you looking to be the biggest in the world and be the best? Or are you just looking to be a bit more comfortable in your own skin? So when I tell people, that's what powerlifting helped me so much. It was less focus on how big am I, how big are my arms, how big are my legs. It's how much can I lift?
And that can always get better.
It can always get better.
Which is the beauty versus your physique. Unless you juice, you are going to have a natural endpoint where your body will not get any...
Yes, but I will say there's more to that, because even with lifting, if I was to do powerlifting for like 10 years, there's a certain limit I'm going to reach before I'm going to need to juice. But the difference is not lifting versus getting bigger. The difference is when you're looking at your body for how it looks, it's virtually impossible to appreciate it for what it does.
True.
When you appreciate your body for what it does, you love it so much more that it makes you a bit more okay with how it looks. So like years ago, before I did powerlifting anything, I was a skinny guy who did a couple of martial arts and I wanted to get bigger. That's it. Now, I did powerlifting, I did dance, I did powerlifting, I got strong, I did dance. Yes.
Why are you looking at me, man?
Okay.
I was saying hi.
Hi. I did powerlifting. I did dance. Now it's more of a calisthenics Olympic ring type thing. I can look at my body now. This is the lightest I've been. I weigh under 80 for the first time in a while. But...
You and I were the same.
You wouldn't guess. I weigh under 80 for the first time in a very long time. My squat strength, because I don't deadlift as much because my nervous system can't handle it, my squat strength is still good. I can do comfortable sets of 5 for paused reps. The power is still there. My mobility is better. My joints feel minty.
You're getting injured less?
I'm getting injured so much less. I'm doing handstands. I'm working towards one-arm handstands. I'm working towards front lever, back lever I can do. My muscle-ups are sick on the rings. My core is dense as hell. But I look a bit smaller. However, this is where it comes into, I realized most of the value I was putting was simply on the number. This is the exact opposite of what you tell clients. Forget the number. It's about the body composition, how you feel, how you look. Mm-hmm. I can feel my jeans are a bit more loose on my legs. I can feel that my belt is a bit more loose on everything. That kills me to know.
Oh, yeah.
But when my strength has stayed the same, even though I'm the lightest I've ever been, I'm lean as hell right now. I'm seeing veins in my thighs and shins and legs and oblique areas, whatever, that I haven't seen ever or a very, very long time. But now that I can appreciate I can dance, because I'm probably dancing more than I'm training at this point.
Calorie use,
yeah, it explains why I'm losing the weight. But the fact is, my goal, forget even training, because I'm prioritizing dancing and I am progressing at a rate I'm happy with. At a rate that I'm happy with.
Great.
My body is doing things. I just learned chest isolations, for example. So yeah, I'm a little bit smaller than I used to be. When I look at videos 2 years ago of when I started dance, my butt was big, my thighs were juicy, my arms were thick.
By the way, best ass in the game. As a guy, best ass in the game. Can't beat it.
It's okay.
I recommend you look at our Instagram where we're wearing leggings. Ridiculous.
That has been the major shift, and that is what I tell my clients every time. You want to look a certain way. Ultimately, we're in the gym because we want to feel sexy. It's a word that's been tabooed tabooized for some reason. Tabooized. We want to be sexy and feel sexy. Sexiness is a state of mind. There is nothing sexier than doing things you couldn't do before. Yeah, if your arms get bigger, your legs get bigger, you get new veins, cool. But what can you do? True. When you start doing handstands...
You last as long in bed?
Yeah, no. I go from 2 to 3
that's
seconds.
Less sexy. 3 seconds. Oh my god, bro. Teach me, bro. I'd love to be able to double my time.
Yeah, that's what I always tell them. We are going to change how you look. But that is going to be the last step in the process. We are in the gym not to look a certain way, to do certain things. Because if you train to get stronger, if you train to do things with your body or ways that you could never do, and then your nutrition gets in check because you need to do it, then you will look great.
Yeah, the physique is going to be a byproduct of the healthy way of training.
And when your physique is a byproduct, you start to appreciate your physique for what it is instead of trying to actively make your physique look a certain way. Just like when you bring out the best in people by not actively doing it, it makes you feel that much better and it allows you to feel good, as opposed to thinking, okay, my goal is to get bigger. I'm never going to get bigger. I feel shit. My goal is to bring out the best in people. I'm never going to bring out the best in people. Feels shit. So that's an accidental parallel that I didn't know I would make. So yeah, if there's one thing you can take away from this 50,000 hour video, it's if you're looking to improve your body dysmorphia, one of the best things I would advise you try.
Compare yourself to other people.
Compare yourself to no.
Juice, roids.
Steroids. The best thing you can do to start is focus on doing things you haven't done before. Whether it's dance, whether it's parkour, whether it's kickboxing. I'm only 23. You're 26. 5?
Thank you.
5.
I'm 28.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
You're 28. I've been spending a lot of time with 25-year-olds. You're 28. Damn.
See, you spending time with 25-year-olds is fine. You spending time with 25-year-olds is fine. Me spending time with 20... Ooh, how old are you? Oh. Anyways.
You just caressed my thigh under the table.
Very, very sensually, actually,
The point I was getting at is we're still very young.
Yeah.
But we've done so much. Various martial arts. Various, for you, parkour. For me, not parkour. I don't know. Dance. Combat sport, dance, and exercise and training. That's like the holy trifecta.
Gymnastics, gaming,
chess, backgammon.
Different types of work, different traveling. Look.
Even learning the piano with your hands, like...
I try with my feet, it doesn't really work that well.
You appreciate your body for a lot. And
which is why I get very, 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 very angry when I have people turn around to me and it be an insult, the fact that I am so interested in being physically healthy.
What do you mean?
Oh, I've had people get offended.
That what?
Look at you. You clearly spend too much time in the gym.
Oh, yeah.
All you care about is lifting weights and...
That is an exact reflection of them.
Yeah, and it's the conversation that I then want to have is sit down and tell me why you're so insecure.
Yeah.
Because this isn't stemming from how good I look, which, by the way, body dysmorphia doesn't let me think. I like to say it. It's called positive thinking.
I'll fake it till I make it.
Yeah.
Maybe one day I'll believe it.
But it's not it's clearly not about me. It's the fact that you feel very self-conscious. The fact that you don't. So explain to me why you haven't started. And that, I think, is also it makes me angry to no end. Mm-hmm. Recently, you and I had to deal with a TikTok about this woman saying how obese people should compete in bodybuilding stages with bodybuilders because it's a testament of how much food they've managed to eat that needs to be recognized. This is for another time because we could be here for another 2 hours talking about this.
Yep.
But that kind of mentality is what sucks. And so sitting here thinking and talking about how good it is to be physically active, as to what your body's capable of, to what being physically capable of leads to you mentally being able to push yourself to a different level. Because now that I know that I can achieve this, what else can I achieve? Compared to the people who see this only as the physical side of things, on both sides. Whether this is physical me, because I want to look a certain way, or whether that's physical on you, and you're clearly self-centered and only want big biceps. Which we all do, but it's what comes with it.
And a big parallel of that, in terms of knowing that your body can do certain things. Who's more confident in an altercation in the street, a fighter or a lifter? Who's more calm? Who de-escalates
Yeah, the
better?
fighter.
The fighter.
100%.
Because if you're looking to gain confidence, you can either look more intimidating, which a lot of big guys do, sure. But once you learn how easy it is to break someone's arm, once you learn how slow those big guys actually are, the calmest dudes are the ones who've trained. They don't necessarily look a different way, but they know how to do certain things. That's why the most insecure people in conflicts are the biggest guys. So when someone comes up to you and insults anything, like, oh, you clearly take care of yourself so much, blah, 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 trying to shit on you, The insult, the reply is just, "Are you okay?
Yeah,
What's up, bro?"
Do you need a hug?
No one who is okay up here ever punches down.
No.
Or, yeah, no one ever punches
we
down.
only punch up, which is why I'm coming after you, Chris. Chris Bumstead, I'm talking to you, bro.
You skinny motherfucker.
You skinny bits.
Yeah, that's the thing of you get confident in what you can do, and you were saying how they shit on you for taking care of your body. So what?
Imagine not being able to shit on yourself and taking care of your body.
Imagine. Do you remember? Did you watch this episode of Family Guy in the I don't remember when it was a while ago.
I have seen
every episode.
Every single episode.
Do you remember the episode where
no.
Brian realizes he might be stupid, and then Peter invites him to be an idiot.
Yes.
And they go to this monster truck rally or something, and he said one of the rules of being an idiot is you need to accuse people of being better than you. So as soon as you have a conflict, it's like, "Hey, watch what you're doing," and his first reply is, "Oh, well, you think you're better than me?" So as soon as someone goes down that route, I offered someone, they did it as a joke, so it's a bad example, but separate example. I went to someone's house, I brought some fruit with me, because I had some pomegranate in my fridge, and I like pomegranate. Sue me. I went there, and I said, "Do you want some?" They looked at me like I just offered them drugs. They're like, "No, I'm good." I'm like, "Okay." Then I got some apples out of my bag. I'm like, "You want some?" And they seemed offended by the fact I wasn't eating their chocolate oranges, and I wanted fruit instead. Why? Or, if people, especially when I'm dancing, this is more of a practical thing. You sweat a lot of salt out. You need electrolytes.
Oh, yeah.
You need a lot of electrolytes. Coconut water has a godly amount of potassium or magnesium, one of those two.
Don't know, it tastes like cum. Allegedly, or so I have heard from women who have drunk coconut water. They say that it tastes the same thing. I'm glad you like it though, buddy, because I hate it.
So when I bust out a big bottle of coconut water, people look at me weird, like I'm some health freak. But I'm like, no, bro, I'm sweating out salt. That's it. You can drink your juice, your Coke if you want.
Also,
I'm thirsty.
So what?
Who
if
cares?
I want to bring it up for health reasons, so what?
Yeah.
Healthier things. Look, I am on a diet and I'm shredding, and today I went suit shopping with my best friend. I'm the best man at his wedding, and afterwards we're in London. We're like, let's get something to eat, and we walked past a Five Guys. I'm like, let's have Five Guys. So I eat the burger because I enjoy it and I like it, but 95% of the time I have my meal prep and I eat well, I don't drink, etc. And so you balance stuff out, right? Nobody's saying don't do it. People are saying just make the healthier choice more often than not.
And something we get away with, we can afford to be more unhealthy now because of everything we've done. The same meal for someone who's in shape versus someone who's not in shape is not the same thing. Mm-hmm. So that is why yesterday I was walking around the gym with my clients with a big bag of Skittles. One, I like Skittles, but two, I can afford to do it. This sounds really weird, and it's not something I hear a lot of people talk about, where you put in the work, the sheer fact you have more lean mass immediately makes you healthier. Yeah. Because when we talk about muscle, we think, okay, you look big. No, it is one of the best things for your body in terms of
burning more calories
doing nothing. It's a longevity organ, so that more lean tissue as you get older, your joints feel better, your tissue, everything feels better. So you can afford...
And you look like a unit.
You look like a unit. And you can afford to do things that you couldn't have done before. That's the whole point of, like, if you start a new job, you need to put in the hours, depending on the job. You grind for the first year or whatever. You can afford to get a bit lazy at the end because you've built that reputation, you've built up that thing. You need to build up your body before you do it. Yeah. And that's something that they don't talk about much. And walking is the easiest thing. Walking is the easiest first step. And the reason why most people get trainers, it's not to guide you to know what to do. It's just to be there so you don't do stupid things. Yes, you have a lot of questions, but if it was as easy as I'm just going to do healthier things, everyone would be healthy. People know what's bad for them. You know you probably shouldn't be eating McDonald's so many times in a week. You know you probably shouldn't be cooking yourself in all of that fat and whatever.
It tastes good as hell. Look, don't get me wrong. It tastes good.
It tastes great.
But
it tastes great. But if you're at a point where you need to make that change, you don't need us to tell you this is what you need to do. You just need us to be there.
And maybe even hold you accountable.
Hold you accountable. That's it. A lot of like my favorite clients are the ones who know what to do, but they still want me there, because it's like, okay, I know exactly how you want me to train. We all benefit from a coach. I had a trainer once for about a year, Pete Rubish, one of the greatest, amazing powerlifter.
Yeah.
Sick powerlifter. My bench in the course of that year went from I didn't bench. It went from I maxed out on weighted 1 rep dip, 90 kilos.
I remember that.
After that, I did bench for like 3-4 months. I got up to 145. That's insane for me. My squat went from 140 to 185 or something. And my deadlift went from 180 to 235, 232 something. That's the lifetime highest I've ever hit. It may be the highest I'm ever going to hit. I don't know if I'm ever going to go back into powerlifting, whatever. Because I'm doing calisthenics and dance and blah, blah, blah. I'm okay with that. No one needs a coach, but everyone benefits from it.
Everyone benefits. Look, I couldn't agree with you more. I've always kind of organized my own thing and my own plans. 6 months ago, I decided to give somebody else a shot. Got tired of programming for myself, so I got myself a coach. And again, massive benefits. Marcus Philly, if you guys know him, functional bodybuilding. Alex isn't a fan of functional anything because everything is functional.
My eye twitches.
Which I agree with.
I hear functional.
But my body has never looked as good as it looks now. My physique and the way that I feel in terms of my cardio, so much better. And it is not running on the treadmill, which is something that I hate. So being able to prioritize a cardio based on conditioning, fantastic. It is the lowest body fat percentage that I've been on with the amount of weight that I'm carrying, which I think is safe to note. Last time that I was at this body fat percentage, I was probably 12 kilos lighter.
That's insane.
That's ridiculous.
That's insane.
And so it's been so good. Obviously, as well as the diet, everything plays into that. But being able to, we don't need a coach. I could get there, no problem. But we benefit from having one. So if we 10, 12 years in the game benefit from a coach, you bet your ass the fact that we would recommend everybody gets a coach. Doesn't have to be us, doesn't have to be the greatest of all time, but benefiting from a
No one needs a coach.
No one needs one.
But if we benefit from it, imagine
Everybody
how much
benefits
someone who doesn't know anything about fitness
Exactly.
benefits from it. Which goes back to what I was saying before. Everyone needs a baseline level of knowing your body, but sometimes you just don't have the time. Sometimes you might not even just understand where to start. That's where the coach comes in.
Delegate it to us.
To wrap up, final question. We kind of touched on it, but still. Anyone who's looking to explore new forms of physical activity, but they don't know where to start, what would you say?
Oh, fantastic. Speak to your friends. I think that starting something with someone who you're close to, maybe something that they're already doing, or maybe talk about things that you'd both be interested in doing together, is a good way to start something. You don't have to do it on your own. You can start with somebody who you trust, who you like, somebody who's going to keep things comfortable for you. And doing that together could be the initial start. That's how my fitness journey got together. That's how I started. That's how my parkour started, because I decided to go with a friend who recommended it to me once. Gym was the same thing. My best friend at the age of 16 was going to a gym. He's like, why don't you come with me? Went with him, fell in love with it. Martial arts was because of my dad, and I went with my dad. It is finding someone who can help get you into that, where you do not feel like you are all alone, tends to really help. Once you have that solidified, figure out what it is that you want to branch into. What do you want to be able to do? And figure out what sports, what skill set you need for that, and work on that. And my biggest recommendation, fall in love with it. Make it fun. It's not supposed to be a dreary, every day this is such a pain. If it feels like that, you're probably not in the right thing. Make sure the fact that this is something that you enjoy and that you love and that you can keep consistent.
That's a very good point. Be it yoga, be it calisthenics, be it Pilates, weight training,
be it
running,
high dive swimming, whatever you want.
Be it low crawl swimming,
crawling,
rock climbing, dance, anything.
Anything.
The point of this is not exercise, the point of this is move. Movement is the best exercise. You see these tribal people, these uncontacted civilizations, they're so comfortable sitting ass to grass in a squat. They're so comfortable with their shoulders and mobility. They move so well. That is a great indicator of how you're going to age, assuming you don't have disease and you have enough food and blah, 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 blah. But
Yeah.
it's not just about getting stronger. It's learn how to move.
Yeah. It's about everything being functional.
Okay, well, I think that's a good place to call it.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much, my friend.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Here's to the next
Really,
5
really
hour
enjoyed it.
podcast.
I cannot wait for the next one. Can we bring snacks next time? Maybe cuddle up. I think that'd be nice.
Okay. Thank you, sexies. And we will talk next time.